There's no confusion here. I know that 5 years ago, I wasn't the healthiest person. See chocolate, eat chocolate. It's almost embarrassing to think that after so many years of studying psychology, I was so driven by chasing pleasure. We know that children who can delay gratification are much more likely to do better in school and social situations. They're also much less likely to have behavior problems and less likely to use cigarettes, drugs, and alcohol. So, what's delayed gratification? Put simply, it's the ability to put off wanting the fun thing right now for hopefully more of the fun thing later. As you can see, this would be really critical for self control. We aren't usually in the very strange situation of sitting in front of a marshmallow and being asked to wait 10 minutes so that we can have two marshmallows. But that was the situation that they put 4-year-old children in back in the 1960s. This was called the marshmallow test. What you might be more familiar with is being that kid in the back of the car who's saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Getting on your parents' nerves. Or being that kid that hasn't even started eating supper who's asking, "What's for dessert? What are we having are we having ice cream or cookies today?" And this being compared to your sibling who happily enjoys singing music along in the car on the trip, never asking what time we're going to get there, or is sharing their Halloween candy with you in December because you ate all of yours by 2 days after Halloween. What is the difference between these two personalities? People who can delay gratification are much better at focusing on the intellectual aspects of the reward than the emotional aspects of the reward. Both sets of these children know that marshmallows taste delicious, but the children that can't wait are focused on how delicious and gooey and yummy and it's going to be when they eat it, versus the other kid that might be focused on, oh, if I wait, I get two, so the benefit of waiting, and they're able to distract themselves from that delicious smell of marshmallow in the room by focusing more on the white color, comparing it to clouds, or maybe even doing other things away from the marshmallow so that they can wait for the second marshmallow to arrive. The kid knows how to focus on something else. One important problem that comes up in these situations is that stress impairs our ability to use intellect to block our desire for gratification. What that means is, if I'm stressed out, I want to feel better now because of the stress. This is why we're much more likely to overeat, overindulge, have cheat days, whatever you want to call it, when difficult things are happening in our life. So let's get back to this idea of self-control. The more that we have the ability to delay gratification, the better self-control we have. Now, of course, we know that having no self-control is a bad thing. People that don't have self-control are very impulsive, and they often struggle to complete simple, I shouldn't call it simple, but typical things like school, like chores, like anything that they're doing that's not fun, their attention can be pulled toward whatever would be fun. This means that people in that scenario also have a much more difficult time remaining employed, which is not great. But I want us to understand that the other side of the spectrum isn't better. If you are really, really, really good at delaying gratification, you could actually end up missing out on fun things in life. And this is harder to see because we don't think that this could ever be bad. But imagine for a second that I want to be in a great relationship, but I'm willing to push that off until I look a certain way. I'm delaying the gratification of being in a relationship, so meeting people, for this other right? I want to look a certain way. And although working on your physical look is amazing and you should be doing that, should it stop you from engaging in finding a relationship? It shouldn't, but it can. Sometimes we won't spend money on vacations because we need to save money for just in case the house has, and yes, it's very comforting and soothing to know that I have enough money in the bank to pay if the roof goes crazy. However, if I never take a vacation and I have more than enough to pay for the roof, why am I not spending the money on something that's good for me? So we sometimes will miss out on the positives in life if we're too strict in trying to delay the positives all the time. The type of gratification style you have, addiction, and weight are tightly bound together. Those people who have difficulty delaying gratification are much more likely to allow themselves to get fun out of eating. So they're not delaying their gratification when it comes to food, when it comes to dessert, when it comes to garbage. And that's because we're so focused on the delicious flavor, right? How that chocolate's going to melt in my mouth and taste, that in fact, every time I saw chocolate back in my history, it was an impulse control scenario. I would be eating it before I even had the time to think about should I be eating it. And what's frustrating about that is that every time I did eat it, I was getting this wave of positive all over, because what happens when you eat chocolate? You get that dopamine, serotonin, all those chemicals happening in your brain that makes your body actually feel good, that makes your mood elevate. And don't forget the taste. It just all comes together to say, Violet, why would you even not eat it right away? Who cares if you can have two later? This is completely against most of our weight loss goals. Why do we think about it this way? Because there is a thought process also happening. Most of us still believe in the calorie lie that says that as long as you're under a certain number of calories, you can eat that chocolate bar, you can eat that cupcake, it doesn't matter. You're under your calories for the day. And this allows us to overlook the fact that practically, because we're living our day to day, eating these snacks is absolutely slowing our weight loss progress, if not stopping it altogether. And we ignore it. When we take our sugar addiction into consideration, one of the things that we notice is that impulse control, it really is hard to manage. And even in scenarios where there isn't any chocolate in the house, we find ourselves putting on our jackets, getting in our cars, and going to the store to buy chocolate. And the reason that we do that is because rather than delay that gratification, oh, the next time I go shopping, I'll pick up some chocolate, delayed gratification. It's like, no, I need the chocolate now, and I will actually go get it now, because guess what? There's always a convenience store open. You've made it to this point in the video, so I know you're enjoying this. Hit the like button and comment below if you were Are We There Yet kid, or dancing to the music and singing along because you could wait. You know how to delay your gratification. I want to know. Regardless of which camp you fell into as a child, addiction can absolutely cause you to today have impulse control problems, today not be able to delay that gratification. In order to lose weight and to keep it off this year, what you need to be able to do is improve your ability to delay gratification. And in order to do that, it's not about avoiding those fun foods or sheer willpower, as people try to tell us that it is. The reason those won't work is that it's impossible to never be around chocolate. I'm around chocolate all the time. I go shopping for my family, right? As soon as I step into a store, there's chocolate there. And willpower, it's going to run out at some point. There's going to be the day that if I was using pure willpower not to eat chocolate, that I would be stressed or upset about something, and chocolate would be there and I would eat it. And I can tell you, I've been upset. Chocolate's been available and I didn't eat it because I'm not using either of those two things to help me stay on track. What I've done is I've reevaluated what's rewarding to me. Of course, in my history, chocolate was very rewarding to me. I was carrying 70 extra pounds to commemorate just how rewarding it was to me. But what was even more rewarding than chocolate was the ability to walk up and down the stairs without pain. What was even more rewarding than chocolate was the ability to lose that 70 pounds. What was even more rewarding to me was knowing that with my health improving, I would be able to go snowboarding with my daughter, go longboarding with my daughter, do all the fun things I want to do with my daughter, with Pat, with the grandkids eventually when they come along. In order to make that shift of what was truly rewarding to me, I had to pay attention to what I was saying in my head when I thought about eating food. And that meant challenging what I was saying to myself. Wellness warrior, do you find yourself saying things like, I can't live without bread? Do you find yourself saying, but junk food is the only pleasure that I have? Is it really true that the small piece of cake doesn't matter? Because I'm pretty sure that if the small piece of cake doesn't matter, then you wouldn't bother eating it. Think about that for a second. If the small piece of cake doesn't matter to your health, why are you bothering to even eat it? Then it doesn't matter. Then walk away from it. If it truly didn't matter, eat it or don't eat it wouldn't make it. You wouldn't be pulled there. It clearly matters. I need you to stop and really look at what that means. It's an excuse to eat it. If we actually take the time to answer these questions that run through our head when we're in front of a food that we shouldn't eat, that we want to eat, and we're struggling with ourselves, if we stop and truly answer the question, what we figure out is that the thing I'm saying isn't true. But even if it was true, would food, so junk food, garbage, be the answer? If junk food is my one and only pleasure, is eating junk food helping me to change the fact that that's my only? Why would I want that to be my life? I should be trying to change that, not covering it up with chocolate. The conversation in your head needs to change. You need to answer those questions. Getting your addiction under control is part one if you really want these ideas in your head to change. So the first step is to watch this video so that you can be a healthier person. Click on the link and I'm going to meet you over there.